welcome back to another episode of The Mat. My name is Kat Wendorf, and I am, for those of you that are just joining us the first time, I am a Nesta's certified sports yoga instructor in Florida. And part of my YouTube channel, The Mat, we have a yoga book club. And right now we are going through Why is God Laughing? The Path to Joy and Spiritual Optimism by Deepak Chopra, one of my favorites. We're in chapter 3. Chapter 3 is kind of long, so today we're just going to read part of it. And we'll reflect on what we think about it at the end, and then we'll pick up again with the rest of the chapter next time. So thank you for joining us. Chapter 3. Mickey had to admit that Francisco was quite remarkable. What did he have? Magnetism? Charisma? But once Francisco had gone, their encounter quickly faded. By the next day, the whole thing seemed like a waste of time. His goal in life wasn't to be fearless. Why should it be? When Paycheck jumped on the bed to wake him up, Mickey didn't take her for a walk. He decided to avoid the beach in case Francisco might be waiting in there for him. He felt restless all morning. He flipped through some magazines, but that didn't take long, and he was too jittery to sit in front of the TV. Around noon, the phone rang. Mickey jumped, even though he had no reason to be spooked. It was his sister in Atlanta. "I'm just calling to see if you need anything," she said. "What would I need?" "I don't know." His sister's name was Janet, and she and Mickey didn't talk very often. When their parents were divorced, brother and sister were split up. Half the family stayed in Chicago, and the other half moved to Atlanta. Mickey, who remained behind with his father, didn't see Janet unless he was visiting his mother. And that only happened for 1 week every summer. He wasn't surprised when she decided not to come out for the funeral. Janet said, "I kept thinking he suffered. They say that nothing hurts like a heart attack. It's like having a truck drive over your chest." "Sis, don't." "You sure he didn't feel anything?" "No, it happened like that," Mickey snapped his fingers. "But we can't be sure, can we?" Her voice quivered. "Dad could have been lying there for a while, all alone and in pain. He might have been going through hell. It doesn't do any good imagining things." "I guess you're right." Janet paused, pulling herself together. "I wish I had your certainty," she said. What did that mean? It reminded Mickey that the two of them didn't know each other very well. When his career took off, his sister had never called to offer congratulations. She didn't use the free tickets Mickey sent to her when he was on tour or a new movie opened. "Do you think I'm funny?" he asked. "What?" The question had come out of left field. Mickey didn't know why he asked it, but it only took a few seconds for Janet to reply. "I grew up with you," she said. "You never told jokes. You weren't the class clown or a jerk. Mom and Dad's divorce changed you." "Meaning I suddenly became a jerk?" "Don't get defensive, Mickey. That's not what I mean. You just changed. You wanted to be funny all the time. It was weird, that's all." "Really? So to you, I'm not funny. I'm a kid brother who turned into a motor mouth?" "Now you're mad." "Mickey, don't deny it." "You asked me a question, Mickey. I just thought we should be not so distant with each other," Janet said. "Sorry, it's been a crazy stressful around here the last few days." Janet accepted this peace offering. She mumbled that she was sorry too and hung up. Suddenly, the big airy house felt like a shoebox. Mickey wandered out onto the beach deck. At the far end, a man was sitting in one of the low white lounge chairs Mickey used for sunning. It was Francisco. "Things like that will start happening more now," he said, not getting up. "What are you talking about?" Mickey snapped. He skipped any friendly greeting. "Once the process starts, you open a door, then the unexpected peeks in." "Screw the process," said Mickey sourly. Francisco wasn't offended. "Poor Mickey," he murmured. He took a moment longer to enjoy the brilliant expanse of ocean spread out before them. Then he got up. "We need to go in your car, and you need to bring a joke with you. That shouldn't be a problem, right?" Still agitated by the conversation with his sister, Mickey decided he wouldn't mind some company. "Okay," he said. A moment later, they were speeding along the coast highway. Francisco pointed to Sunset Boulevard when the turnoff came. "Wherever you're taking me, it's cool," said Mickey. "But just so you know, I'm not what you think." "Which is what?" said Francisco. "Scared of life, worried, anxious." "All right." "You don't believe me." Francisco shrugged. "What I believe doesn't matter. You're taking what I said too personally. Everyone is born into fear, and almost everyone stays there until they die. What makes you special? When you aren't living in fear, you see the truth. It becomes obvious." "If you say so," Mickey muttered. He was keeping his eyes on the road as sunset made broad, sweeping curves through lush neighborhoods. Francisco didn't direct him to turn off anywhere. "Did you bring a joke like I asked?" Francisco said. "What kind do you want?" "A dog joke." Mickey shrugged. "A man walks into a bar with his dog. He says to the bartender, 'My dog Fido can talk. If you give me a free drink, I'll prove it. The bartender's curious, so he pours the man a drink. Can you really talk? He says to the dog. Undoubtedly I can, the dog replies. The bartender is so impressed, he takes out some money. Here's $5. He says to the dog, go across the street and talk to my friend Patty. The dog takes the money and leaves. A few minutes later, his owner comes out of the bar. And what does he see but the dog's humping another dog in the gutter? He's shocked. Fido, he exclaims. You never did this before. The dog says, never before. It wasn't the greatest joke, but when Francisco didn't laugh, Mickey grew irritated. I get paid big money to tell jokes, he said. Francisco cut him short. Turn there, he said, pointing to a house on the left. You know these people? Mickey asked. No, Francisco replied calmly. Mickey felt nervous about turning into a stranger's driveway. Once they were parked, he followed Francisco, who didn't go to the front door, but he went around the back. After a few yards, Mickey could hear loud barking. When he rounded the corner, he saw 2 German shepherds who began barking even more furiously. They lunged frantically at the 2 strangers, straining at the chains around their necks. This is wrong. We have to leave, Mickey said with an alarm. He expected the owners of the house to come charging out any minute. Come closer, said Francisco. No way. He wasn't normally afraid of dogs, but these 2 were big and dangerous. Their fangs were bared now, and they were making a deafening noise. Mickey could feel his heart pounding. Francisco plucked at his sleeve. They want to hear your dog joke, he said. He pulled Mickey within a foot of the dogs, who became frenzied. Go ahead. A man walks into a bar, Mickey began. He could hardly get the words out. Well, one of the dogs began to foam at the corners of its mouth. This is nuts, Mickey screamed. He pulled away and ran back around the corner of the house, heading for the car. To his surprise, Francisco didn't object. He followed, while behind them, the dogs kept barking madly. You would have calmed down in a few minutes, Francisco said. I doubt it. They got in the car and backed out the driveway. Mickey was in no mood to listen until they were back on the road and well clear of that house. Francisco said, I did that to show you that thinking you're not living in fear is deceptive. Fear is your silent partner, and it jumps out when you least expect it. I don't need a stupid stunt like that, Mickey grumbled. Those dogs were killers. Anybody would have been scared. Their owners, are they scared? They don't count. You're not catching on. People get used to fear, and they mistake that for overcoming fear. The owners are used to their dogs, but if they came out one day and found 2 alligators instead, that would change in a hurry, said Francisco. Mickey was still rattled. You're right. I'm not catching on because for some amazing reason, I don't keep surprise alligators around. Stop resisting. I'm trying to get you to look inside yourself, Francisco said. Even when you don't notice it, fear has you in its grasp. Anytime it wants to, it can jump you, and you'll be powerless to resist. And we're going to stop there for today. So what do we take from that part of the chapter? For me, I take it that he's coming off defending himself, and he's coming off that nothing bothers him, yet he's got a chip on his shoulder because he's unable to process the death of his father, maybe the divorce from his childhood, and he's not able to open himself up to thinking any way other than what he already knows. And comment below. I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on that part of what's going on for Mickey at this point in the book. And we'll pick up next session on the rest of the chapter. Thank you so much. I hope you're all having a wonderful July, and namaste.